This is a video which concerns the aspects of the environmental geology or environmental sciences, and I hope that anyone who is going to read it is going to find it all okay for the certain aspects of the environmental geology that he or she is trying to find out from the lectures. Now, whenever I talk about environment, I mean that there are certain aspects in nature which are quite entangled since the beginning of life in Earth. And the terminology that is life and the terminology which is environment is very important because modern science tells that the beginning of the life, whether it was unicellular in character, that was actually helping building up different sorts of mineral species on the surface of the earth, and it all started since about 3.8 3.2 billion years ago through the formation of biogenic bacteriums, through the formation of different types of minerals and the caricature of these minerals in different geological processes, which had led to the idea of quantum biology, that life itself had helped the planet to cherish itself as well as the planet had helped life to cherish. However, for the last 1000 or 2000 years, humankind had not been pretty much went as far seen as they should have gone with the environment that they dwell in or they live in, and they are least bothered about the factors those are going to challenge the environment in terms of where it is today and what it is going to become tomorrow, as well as due to the different types of pollutions which are being disturbing this beautiful environment, whether it is air pollution or it is water pollution or whether it is, and the things, they are seemingly like the things those have been pushed where they have been in different place. Global warming might be a geological phenomenon, but it has been exaggerated a few times more because of these pollution and these greenhouse effects by human being and their unreliable toasting of the nature for the last century or 200 or 300 years. And that is the basic agenda in or while we will be reading or dealing with the environmental sciences, that why we should care about the environment, or what were the problems those we have already put the environment into, and that's why another mass extinction event is currently going on, and we the human, the most intelligent part of this planet, still most of people, we are unaware of the fact. Now, as I have discussed and disclosed that the life of the earth came into existence at about 4.6 billion years ago, as geologists say, and this is a chart but from the Hadean epoch passes through Archean, and the Archean counterparts are known as Eoarchean, Paleoarchean, Mesoarchean, Neoarchean, and etc. And by that time there was no life in this region. However, through the evolution of life, or when life came into existence, there were some fundamental changes in the nature. First, it was unicellular organisms, and these diagrams can say it very much of in ideological way that possible oceanic vaporization impacts and the moon was formed, and then biogenic carbon isotopes were formed in Zeekel, zircon, Zinfilbur, Australia, and stromatolites, the first organosedimentary structures. Those are coming into Earth. And then you can see that there are glaciation periods, that the periods which are actually creating deserted environments, and the life is changing, and life is going through extinction events, not due to some human impact, but due to some external effects, or like meteoritic impact, like Chicxulub crater or Shiva crater in the Arabian Sea, or as well as there are generations of life. And at about 600 million years ago, there are first multicellular organisms, and we have known them as Ediacaran biota. And then for the last few minutes, if we consider the whole Earth or the evolution of the Earth in terms of a day, in the last minute, humankind or human came into existence in the Earth. And there are some very fascinating theories. You can find them in Jaya, and whether they call it conspiracy theory or not, you can find it in different parts in many texts all over the world, that how humans were much more dominated and how their brains became so much complicated and functional that we are now where we should be belonging today. And in spite of the fact that we should have used our brain power for motivating and making good for people, we have been using it to thwart our own ego to others, as well as this is also similar in case of nature also. And that's why there are many problems we see nowadays in terms of pollution and etc. Now the question is that how and when to start or where to stop regarding these things. Now there are many parts of environment, and they start from the ecosystem, and the main motto of the environmental science will be to create an awareness about the system, the cyclic processes of nature, how the ingredients and components those flow in an ecosystem, that is in our environment, the pollution, the disasters, how can we cope up the disasters and how can we mitigate those disasters, as well as the sustainable development, which will teach us how we can use or reduce our usage, recycle things, and we can be very sensible seeing all of these apathy towards nature, how we may be much more responsible towards nature, as well as save millions of lives, whether we are doing an NGO like WWF or Greenpeace or something like that, or whether we are helping it by making some progress, awareing people or making the awareness program, just like we do in our society. The environmental science thus deals with different aspects of nature, and the applicability of the environmental science had been sequestered through derivatives of different disciplines of science like geology, chemistry, as well as physics in the nature. The objectives of the observed by the humankind was nature, although because of the disdain and misdeeds, environment went through the backseats through the rise of the industrialization and civilization as humans started forgetting about Mother Nature, but they were brought up. The different disciplines of the EVS are described in the table as was accordingly. Now to time how to come towards ecosystem, but however the first lecture of these 6 minutes or something like that, it is over.